1, 2, 3.
Listen, you can just do it, or you're gonna die. It's a do or die thing, bro. Listen,
What do you mean?
Listen,
I hurt myself.
straight in there, sink or swim. It's cutthroat. It's tough, but in a lot of ways, this is how a lot of life is.
So what are you trying to say? I just have to get on
You
with
just
it?
gotta just do it. You gotta learn. Like, okay, so I'm trying to think of like an example. For example, Amazon FBA, in terms of the process, you find products from China. They're sort of white labeled, meaning you put a logo on it, import it in from China, sell it on the UK Amazon platform, right?
Yeah.
Fairly straightforward process. Now, the game has changed in that kind of process has been taught so much. The market's a lot more saturated. So
Yeah.
any and everyone can go to China, source a product, do the same thing, tear. Even the Chinese manufacturers have sort of clocked on because they're like, you man are really...
So
what
you
is
come to
this?
me,
To kind of do this. I'm
pay
like...
me cheap, but
Yeah,
then you're
yeah.
making
You're
a
making
couple
how
of
much?
zeros.
And what they've started to do is cut out the
Okay.
middleman. They've started to kind of brand products themselves and sell it themselves.
Yeah.
And so in that, what a lot of middlemen are finding, or sellers are finding, is that their margins are just decreasing slowly over time. And I remember reading this article and it spoke about how you have to adapt or you will be forced out of the market. And that you have to learn how to really brand and basically just level up. You have to brand your
Yeah.
products properly and start to custom manufacture, because then no one can take that away from you. You can get a patent in place. Your branding's at a higher level. It's like when you look at and there are so many different examples with companies. When you look at, you know, this razor company Gillette.
Yeah.
You know, you got the basic 20p ones from like Sainsbury's. 20p Gillette. They charge like a £10 for one.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of how they've adapted to their environment. They've looked at the market and gone, how can we make ourselves better than everyone else? How can we set ourselves apart from the competition and really kill this market? And they've come in with a different product, you know, smoother on the
Evolve,
skin.
yeah.
They've evolved. They've got different colors, better branding. It's a lot softer. They've got like famous people to kind of be part of like the commercials and stuff, promoting smooth skin. And they've just killed it. And it's more than just, the product probably doesn't cost that much more to produce than the mass market ones. But because of the branding around it and the ability to really adapt to their environment. And we see it, because even going back to evolution, like a lot of the traits we have as humans, taller, in terms of height, thicker skin, darker skin, these all have purposes. Like the giraffe, they started off as an animal that was like, or their ancestors were similar to like horses with sort of shorter necks. But a lot of the trees that they wanted to get their food from were so high.
Up there.
And so a lot of the times it's like, oh, just gonna stretch. And then from there, you had to adapt.
Yeah.
If you didn't adapt, the reality was
you're gonna
you
die.
died. Like, it's probably not as cutthroat now,
Yeah.
but that saying back in the day was you adapt or you die. Like, you're
Yeah.
prey in a lot of sort of environments to a lot of animals, to a lot of predators. How can you adapt and develop?
Yeah. So this conversation was triggered by a little quote that I've got. If you're not evolving, you're dying.
Oof. It's not a nice thing to hear, but it does kind of ring true to a lot of different facets and areas of life.
I think the best example and the most simplest example is the workplace. If you don't evolve in it, eventually there's going to be someone who's going to come along, either take your job or they're going to see your role as not being required anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're not adapting, you're not evolving, you're not growing.
Not learning.
You're dying in your role.
Eventually,
Your role may die. If you haven't picked up the necessary skills that you see that your career is going in because of advancements in technology or the way that processes are changing, certification, qualification, anything around that, eventually there's going to be a time where it's going to catch, it's going to catch you out and you're going to be like,
I'm done. Gonna retire at 24. Like, it's gonna be this. But you know what? The crazy, I just hit myself with the mic. The crazy thing is, they sort of Mike's like, adapt, bro, adapt,
evolve, man.
you gotta grow. But the crazy thing is, like, I remember reading this article. This was months ago, so don't quote me on the numbers. But it spoke about how a lot of the number of jobs that were being done in the past 10, 15, 20 years have just been wiped out. And they've just been overtaken by AI, machines, artificial intelligence. They've been like consolidated and streamlined into like one job, and how a lot of sort of manual labor jobs are just gone. And yes, there are a lot more newer jobs now, but that race is continuously happening.
Yeah.
And there's this continuous kind of like race of kind of old jobs just being made obsolete, and people having to learn, like you said, new skills, gain new qualifications. Like the thing now is all about digital skills. I've heard so many people say it to me like, oh, digital skills, I got to learn these digital skills, and they're really young, and I'm like, I'm going to have to jump on this wave, like whether I want to or not. When I start looking at other jobs, if that is the case for me in the next couple of years, there's going to be that requirement. Have you got these digital skills?
Yeah.
Do you know these different programs? Yeah, Excel, cool, spreadsheets, whatever, but now it's about R and Tableau and all these other things. I'm like, and it's like, do you understand how this works? Because this is what we value in the workplace. And if you don't have these skills, if you don't understand what this means, then we don't want you. We want that younger, like,
there's going to be someone who's going to come along
and just take it, and they'll do it for like a lower salary, and they'll work twice as hard, and it's just being able to adapt to environments. A literal example, and this is how a lot of people have been taught to swim, is some people will take their child and just throw them into a massive pool or a lake. And it is literally where that term has been coined from, that sink or swim, because that's honestly it. Like, apparently back in the day, what they used to do is when a dog would kind of give birth, they take all the puppies. They usually give birth to about 7 or 8. Just throw them in water, just throw them into a lake, and then whichever one's like swimming, that's it.
I don't understand the reason why they would do that, but
it's some survival of the fittest thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, not that they need this person to do it.
Rex,
but it's
come
like,
on, Rex, come on, swing.
There.
Mad.
And it's just a bit like, that's just a bit, that for me is unnecessary that they had to do that. But
definitely.
the concept behind it of, look, survival of the fittest, there's not enough food for all of you. You got to fight for your like way of life.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because a lot of it does relate to the beauty of life, in that sometimes there's beauty in the struggle. Like I remember J. Cole I remember when we went wireless, J. Cole had this bar, I can't remember what song it was off, but he was like, there's like something beautiful about the struggle, like in the struggle, and that like when you work hard and when you strive for something and you actually achieve it, there's so much beauty in the journey. Even before like coming to the pot of gold, the journey to it is where it's really at. It's like this whole thing of, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I feel like that is what it kind of relates to in like a lot of different cases, where someone's trying to like get their business off the ground and they're struggling with like cash flow, they got tax coming in, and it's that struggle and hustle and bustle of them like just trying to get things off the ground, trying to get it successful, and everything they've done and sacrificed. And although it's not linked to evolution, there is that concept still of, you got to learn to adapt to your environment. Everyone's gone online, everything's digital now. Have you adapted? Have you even got a website? Are you on LinkedIn? You on social media? Like there's so many different layers to it, and we can see it like throughout sort of history how this has evolved, because it started off with wasn't it MySpace, and MySpace, then Facebook came, Twitter, Instagram, now there's like TikTok and all these other ones like evolving. Snapchat. There's so many different layers, and when I listen to Gary Vee, he's like, you have to be able to cater to all these different levels, because one of the large examples, and there are quite a few, is like Kodak were killing it in the 80s.
Snap, take a picture.
They were genuinely ahead of the game. If you were talking cameras, it was Kodak. No one ever thought about cameras on phones. This was back in the day. And the mad thing is, a lot of companies have research and development departments. They basically discovered the digital camera before, they discovered it from day. They had the money, they had the patent, had the resources, but for some reason, they were like,
no, they're not ready yet.
Is this gonna blow? We're like, well, is the world
bringing
ready?
It to market, it's gonna cost X
it was
amount.
It was just that kind of combination of, look, the cost of it, bringing it to market, the fear of it not being successful, and they're just focused on just
it
non-digital.
Works now, so there's no need to change.
Yeah, and so for them it was like, meh, and then they just got wiped out.
Boom.
They
same
just
with Blockbusters.
It's the same with Blockbusters.
Apparently, Netflix came to Blockbusters. They were like, "Listen, we can make this, mail to order straight to your house." And people are like, "Huh?" But they come to us. That's the way it works. This is the model. And then guess what happened to Blockbusters?
And it's crazy because we see it so much. To be fair, even now, I honestly feel like I see it with Amazon and eBay. Because, back in the day, eBay was running it.
Yeah.
eBay was like, they were the golden child. Like, if you were selling or buying online, it was eBay. Because I'm like, everyone's like, this is the way like of the future, like buying and selling online. And then they just didn't really adapt. Like, they didn't really expand. They're now they're kind of like this bargain hunting place where people go to, people go to get the cheapest price, pay 99p for like a jacket or a house.
Yeah.
People just want the low. They're making the lowest offer on
Spare
like
parts or anything like that.
anything, and it's kind of like they are overly catered to customers, and a lot of them tend to.
They've got their
fraudulent
base.
activities. They got their base, but it's sort of like, look, you haven't really adapted, because I don't know if you've not. Well, for me anyway, my shift has just been a lot to Amazon.
It depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for something secondhand,
Yeah, if I'm looking
eBay.
for something secondhand, tit tat, eBay, 100%.
or you're looking to sell whatever you got in your house,
then it's eBay. But even still, it's like the best way to do it is to bid at 99p, and just Amazon's come in and they have just absolutely obliterated that entire market, because now they like 53% of all sales in 2018 online, Amazon. Like, when you really think about that on a global scale, dangerous. And that's obviously one of the most recent examples. And again, we sort of see it in day-to-day life with the job examples.
I think one of the prime examples that's happening right now, and it's going to impact a lot of people who use Instagram, is the removal of likes. So
is it definitely happening?
Yeah,
I've heard rumors.
It's
about
happened on our Tag Me In podcast, plug
Removal
Instagram.
of likes. Yo.
I was on it the other day, and I was just like, oh, so this is a change. This is evolution. This means that from a perspective of creating content, you have to change your strategy to adapt to. Because if you don't change it, then how you're going to get your branding out there? How people going to actually know about you?
Fam, influencers are.
That's what I mean. But are they going to evolve? Are they going to adapt with it? And that's the whole thing. Because if they don't evolve with it, with all the changes that are happening, then eventually they're going to die out, and they're going to be, who's Tom? Who's that influencer? A lot of people say this as well. Like, just keep on the thread of like influencers. A lot of people are building up their following on like these platforms. So like Instagram or Twitter, and all it takes is Instagram and Twitter to say, hey, we're going to block your account. We're going to ban you. And they've lost touch with every single person that they've created that following, that relationship with, meaning they got nothing. So they die.
It's the algorithm. It's
not even an algorithm. It could just be
bro.
one bad thing that they put out.
And it gets flagged up and they're done.
Boom.
And it's crazy because I remember I was listening to another podcast and they sort of spoke about this lady who had like 1 million subscribers or followers, and then as part of like Instagram, I think they've been cleaning up over the last year and a half.
The ghosts.
They kind of got rid of
followers,
like all the bots and the ghost followers, and her thing went down. Apparently, she was all crying and stuff, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm like,
but that was her living.
But that's why that's the thing why it's crazy. And again, on this kind of theme of like, and it does kind of link to other things of maybe having like one source, which is another level of adaptation where there's this kind of saying of don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I think there's that kind of follows on that theme of kind of like do or die, I guess. And in that, if you have all your eggs in one basket, or if you only have one source of income, and something that as unstable as like Instagram, it's sort of like you have very limited control over
you have no
how
control.
how it goes, kind of thing.
The reality is you have
of the platform, you have no control because they just come in, change the algorithm, do ABCD. People only wanted to give you those sponsorships because you had 1 million followers. Now you're down. It's like, we're gonna go with her. Like you haven't got it. She's got it.
You got to evolve, and that's the thing. That's the hard thing, because you're gonna get hit with certain things that's gonna come in your life where you might have like known that it was gonna change, but when it happens, the impact happens then and there,
and it's heavy,
and you're like, and that's where you come to. You have to decide what you're gonna do from that point on.
I think it comes also in that kind of moment. It's down to the individual's attitude, because these things happen all the time. Where let's call them losses. Changes, losses, adaptations happen all the time. It's happening in property now. New tax rules coming in, new rules regarding ownership of property, purchases, buy-to-lets, whatever. These things happen now. And the common theme you'll find with winners is they always look to find a way to adapt to their environment. Okay, the government's come in, they've said this. Okay, cool. What do? We're going to pull it through a company. We're going to pull it through a special purpose vehicle. I'm going to get my accountant to look at the numbers. We're going to make it work. We're going to adapt to it.
Yeah.
They've come in with the algorithm. I've lost a few followers. Okay, cool. I'm going to host a few events. I'm going to double my kind of posting output, and we're going to get back to 1 million. We're going to get these sponsorship deals. And I think that is sort of where you see the difference, because there's this sort of saying that the difference between sort of winners and failures a lot of the time is they're on a different side of fear. They're on opposite sides. Some people feel the fear. Oh my God, this is happening. I can't take it. I'm scared, and they pull back. Whereas others kind of go, okay, how do I deal with this? How do I find a workaround? How do I adapt? How do I grow and develop? How do I learn from it? It's always back to that learning piece of always being able to take what's happening, learn the vital lessons, and really just kind of move and improve.
Push forward.
Just keep pushing forward.
Because like as you're saying all that, there's two lines that came into my head, and it's like motivational speeches. And it's like Les Brown. It's like, if you fall down, if you can look up, you can get up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Rah.
I
And
like
there's another
that.
line from Rocky where it's like, you just gotta keep on moving, no matter how fast life. I can't even do it. No matter how fast life is, you gotta keep moving, cause that's what winners do.
Keep moving.
But yeah, as a winner, you just gotta keep on moving.
It's tough because I guess in that moment,
In any
do you know what I
moment,
mean?
it's
Like,
tough
yeah.
because it's not going your way.
But that's the thing. In that particular moment, you're probably not thinking, "Oh man, I'm gonna get up and win." You're thinking, "Man, this has happened again. Why me? Why did they do like?"
Yeah,
and I think it's important to catch yourself in that moment and sort of be like, "Okay, stay focused. How can we adapt? How can we grow? How can we see the bigger picture and look to move to the next step?" Like in the previous sort of episode, we one of the episodes we've had where you sort of said that kind of like with failure, it's kind of like incremental learning lessons, incremental steps where maybe mistakes and failures have happened, and then you learn from that. The lessons is that you learn how to adapt and grow from that. And again, for me, like I love looking at these historical books on especially like animals, how, it started off, it's kind of like the cat and mouse, like Tom and Jerry, Jerry's getting away, he's moving around, Tom's getting bigger and faster, he catches him, Jerry's learning to be smarter, and like I just love seeing it play out in reality, because I'm like, this is beautiful. Like you see like
Man said beautiful.
no,
when
the
you're
chase.
in it, you're not
The
like,
chase.
wow, this is beautiful. No.
Jerry's there like
Bruh.
stressed.
So you enjoy the chase?
Hmm?
You enjoy the chase?
No, I said that as an example.
But I'm saying like you
observing
personally-
it, yeah.
Okay.
Observing it
But
from
when
historical.
you're in it, do you enjoy the chase of like?
I would
I thought
say-
I was there, and then the hurdles be moved.
Not in that context. Like when I mean chase, I mean from that historical point of view of like the animals.
Okay.
So
yeah,
enjoying
yeah.
like back and forth of the lion kind of
Competition,
get the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but then this has learned to like move side to side. So then this has gotten
Zigzag,
faster.
yeah.
So then this has learned to jump a bit higher, and then this one's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna jump as well.
Oh,
But then
I'm
this
gonna
one's
play dead.
this one's skin, rubber, that extreme one, and it doesn't work. I'm gonna play dead.
Play dead.
And then this one's like learned to like, sorry, his skin is adapted to the environment, so it's hard to. And I'm just like, this is
Evolution.
even on like a genetic level. Like it just shows you how relevant this is to everyday life. Like it just keeps on coming. Like even people who work as contracting, making more money. How is it adapted? All right, cool. There's a new IR35 where if certain companies are going to force you to be inside, so there's new tax changes. Okay, how do you adapt? And just seeing how people kind of go around the circle of life to like smaller degrees and just adapt to the environments. It's like mad.
Evolve or die.
It's great because I guess, would you say, let me not use the word die, but I guess in sort of situations where it's you learn to improve.
So let me. All right, I'm gonna hold you there. So
Okay,
the
go on.
dying part could just be you're moving further away from where you want to be.
Yeah, let's
So
say
you're-
stagnation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be dying. It couldn't just. It could mean I'll give up on life.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna live 9 to 5,
Mm.
and I'm gonna complain about my job, and that's the way it's gonna be. But physically and mentally, you're actually killing yourself. Like you hate it. You're seeing everyone else around you progress and do what they want to do, but you're just in a stagnant place. That's almost dying.
Yeah.
So that's what it kind of means. Like
Man,
if you're
yeah.
not really
Stagnation.
trying to just do better than you did last week and the week before that, then what are you really
what's going on?
achieving? Like, are you going to be looking back in 40 years with regret? You know? So that's the part I just wanted to throw in there. What was you going to say before I distracted you? Yeah, I lost you, innit? I did it. Tag Ola in. What?
No.
Man can't evolve.
No, I guess it was the sort of piece around stagnation and understanding. Similar to what you sort of said, that kind of die piece, could be stagnation or not necessarily you having to want to achieve like the utmost success for whatever thing, because again, it is subjective for all different people. And kind of just talked about how it relates to companies as well, and that companies that aren't necessarily growing in terms of profit and revenue and that sort of thing, it's a similar thing. People look as investors at those companies as, you're not growing. I'm gonna pull my money out.
Yeah.
Which kind of creates this cycle of further failing or like less growth. Because if you're seen to be failing and people are like, actually, no one wants to invest in you. Why am I buying your products and your services? And it becomes this sort of vicious cycle.
What's happening with Snapchat?
Oh man!
Apparently, TikTok is taking over and Instagram's gonna die
Already?
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know about TikTok, man.
What TikTok's taking over? Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way it's going, and then Instagram eventually might potentially die if it don't evolve. Like it's happening all around us. Like you look at competition from supermarkets.
Yeah. Like it's not like look at Morrison's, Tesco. It's this non-stop kind of like.
Back in the day used to be the one.
Bro.
Maybe not for my family, but it was always one of those places that. I remember my uncle, he used to work for them. He's got shares in them. And then over years, it's like it's slowly depreciating.
Even worse from that is Lidl and Aldi, apparently, they're like top.
Superpowers.
Like they've just come from nowhere. I remember because Tesco were not worried. They were like, Lord, they're bare cheap. They got that overseas meat. We don't even know what it's. How do you even say it? Literally.
From Germany.
That was it.
Guten Tag.
Fam, and this is what got them because they were like, you know what? No one can understand what they've written. No one's going to buy it.
No.
They've come and they've killed it.
Killed the game.
They killed it because remember, it was Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Tesco, and Asda.
Do you know what the joke is? Once upon a time, you used to be ashamed.
Fam.
Where do you shop?
Fam.
Because you couldn't go. There was no Aldi or Lidl's.
It was Netto. I remember Netto.
No. Netto's different. But like, everyone was always carrying those boxes and putting the stuff in the boxes. Yeah. No, not to hide, but they didn't give you plastic bags.
Levels, man.
And now people be like, I'm just going Aldi now. You be on the phone in your car. Yeah, I'm just going to pop into Aldi.
With pride.
It's minor.
That's me, man.
That's what I mean. And that's an evolution with it as well. Like this accepting the fact that, my money don't stretch that far. I can get more for my money if I go Aldi, Lidl. And also the quality might even be better.
Yes, just as good, if not better. Yeah.
You could do your meal prep. How much would you say? Like 10, 12 pounds?
For me, it's gone down less than £15 a week now.
Mad.
And it's just crazy how, and I think a lot of it is also attention and awareness because if you look at the perspective of it from maybe the Morrisons or the Waitrose or the M&S,
is Morrison's
in
even
their
around
prime.
them anymore?
Let's forget Morrison's.
No,
Waitrose, M&S, in their prime, they're probably thinking we're killing it. We're charging more than everyone else.
Look at adverts. This is not just your M&S chocolate cake.
Ooh, they're killing it. They see a little Audi or little what? They're not. They're like,
what's this?
Little child.
Mince pie.
And I think that's sort of where it starts. In that you have to have that humble mindset of you can't be number one at the top. You're not always going to be, because we've seen it in boxing as well, where Anthony Joshua, AJ, and we see in other fights as well. People just kind of come in and no one expects
Joshua was the golden child. He was the British Nigerian. Just forget about the Nigerian. The British heavyweight champion. Because that's how they used to go about it.
Yeah.
And now he's still about, but he's not the main light.
Yeah.
There's not that shine on him, but he's still, when you hear him talk.
Yeah, no, he's still, and it's crazy because
I gotta be number one.
It's just that piece of it's this sort of marketplace where you're constantly fighting to be number one, and when you are number one, people are just constantly snapping at your heels, trying to take your position, and you just have to stay focused and understand that you have to maintain, adapt, and grow, or someone's there waiting to take your meal, someone's there waiting to take your job, take over your business, take what you have, and it's just, I think it's so important to just stay focused and remain humble and just kind of keep pushing and doing what you're doing. And
I think the most, like, as long as you're evolving yourself personally, so from the basis of how do I react to certain circumstances, am I changing as an individual? How do I feel generally? Like, if you're not evolving, like, so let's take self-care. If you know it's an issue and you haven't done anything to take you into that step of self-care every Sunday or whatever you're doing, then, like, you're not evolving. Like, you're just allowing the pressure of life to get to you and then literally eat away.
Yeah.
So, like, that's how you could evolve. You could be like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? And how can I make myself feel better and be better?
And a great analogy to look at that is sort of with a car. You know, you have the dashboard. When something's wrong, it comes on with the different lights. You've got the yellow, you got the red, you got the green. And if something yellow or red comes on, you know that the car is letting you know, look, something ain't right here.
It's a warning sign.
Check it out. Go into the mechanic, get that checkup. Because the thing is, a lot of the issues that tend to occur with cars, if they're picked up earlier, it could cost a lot less. It's the same with the human body as well. You've been coughing for 6 weeks. There's a little blood there. Go to the doctor, man. What's got like, there has to be that piece of, you know what, let me go get checked in. Not just physically, mentally, as you said, that personal aspect as well. Going to see a doctor. The amount of times that people have gone in to see a doctor and the doctor said, if you had come in 4 weeks later,
yeah,
you know, it could have been a completely different story.
Yeah.
But you've come in at an early enough time. You've recognized there was a problem. You've come in. We've recognized what it is, and we've been able to just deal with it just like that. We've cut out the cancer, or we've cut out the tumor before it's become something serious. We've given you medication again before things have become detrimental to your health and your lifestyle. We've been able to deal with it. We've adapted your diet and your lifestyle to prevent any further case of like liver damage or diabetes, you getting diabetes type 2, from being able to just recognize what's going on and just tackle it and deal with it then. And I see it so much in that just getting things early enough is just really sorts it out. It's like with a car fine, if you pay it in the first 2 weeks, you pay half. But if you leave it, they're coming for you.
It's like taking responsibility a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like, if you're, again, using your analogy of warning lights, there is a number of warning lights that is constantly around us. If you're constantly tired, it means you're not getting to bed at a decent time. You can break that down even further and realize what stresses you got in your life.
Yeah.
Are you overwhelmed? Are you doing too much? What do you need to do? You know, those sort of things of like picking up something that you know is not quite right in your life and adapting and changing it and putting certain stuff into your life that enables you to feel better.
Yes.
Like the aspect of diet. We all know the importance of diets, eating a good, healthy diet, or even on the aspect of just keeping active, you know? There's little things that we can do because all these stuff of like, obesity, I don't know what obesity is. Like they tell me obesity is when your body mass index go over this level. Yeah. I don't know what the true impact is, but you know, somewhere down the line, probably 20 years, it's probably going to lead you to a disease or illness, and that's going to lead you to death.
Early death, and
so
you can tackle it now.
You could evolve, adapt, and change your lifestyle, whether that be, I know you've gone on this whole transformation program in terms of diet, walking.
But you know, I'd like you said, I'd say it's more lifestyle because it's the combination of focusing on what goes into the body, getting a certain number of exercise routines each week, doing a certain amount of cardio, a certain number of steps, drinking a certain amount or certain liters of water a day. And at first I thought it was just diet, but now I'm like, no, it's lifestyle. Yeah. And it's usually a combination of more than just one thing. And again, that can be applied to many different facets of life, understanding that it's usually lifestyle change and not just one single area. And that it takes time to get into it, but once you're into the groove, like you can save yourself, you know, an extra couple years of life by kind of starting early. And I think it's also just getting into the habit of doing these things, so getting into the habit of adapting and dealing with things, taking responsibility for when things go wrong and looking to rectify them as quickly as feasible. And that in and of itself is like a good habit and lifestyle, and that in and of itself is adaptation. Understanding that things go wrong all the time and there are different ways to deal with it, looking to deal with things as soon as possible, you're onto a winner. Yeah. Like, how can you lose? You're just onto a winner. Again, I don't think it's ever as easy as with life. A lot of things is obviously in concept, in theory. In theory, it's like obviously it's always a lot easier. But when it comes to the actual practicality of it, it's never that easy. But that's life. Like, when has anything worth having ever been easy for anyone? You know, like it's. I
can't even answer that one.
Yes, it's crazy, man. I didn't know this thing about the TikTok. I'm definitely going to look into
growing.
it. Even like WeWork. I don't know what's happening with them.
WeWork is slowly dying but that's a whole nother level because that's all about unicorn companies getting a valuation of billions, and there's no real kind of depth into it because it's just people throwing money at it, and it gets to a point where someone goes, okay, so how much money are we making each year? And then year on year you're not actually making money, and then someone's going, okay, pull the plug. This don't make sense. And the whole problem with WeWork was they wanted to go for an initial public offering, and people are like, okay, so show me your numbers.
Yeah, about that.
It's evolved. It's changed the game in terms of work, like
office
working in an office, working with other people, cost savings. If you've got a business, you can open up in a WeWork office, and you can have different people around you. It makes sense. It's evolved that aspect of it. The organisation itself leading the way.
It's not been there.
It's like, Uber.
Yeah.
There's
You
always
mentioned
been some type of evolution in society. So Uber opened up the doors in terms of like, ride sharing and, you know, the aspect of just using your phone and actually getting a ride to come to your yard and pick you up. Back in the day, can I get a cab for number 2, please?
Yeah, I'll be there in 2 hours. Yeah,
And
or you stick your arm out, hey, Charlie, black cab.
Lord.
Someone's there.
But that's what I mean. So it's like there's definitely evolution everywhere. And then I think with no pressure needed really, but you kind of have to look at yourself and think, how are you evolving? How are you changing?
Are you getting there? Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Uber because I was going to sort of mention it. Yeah, Uber in terms of like car sharing. We've seen Airbnb do it with properties as well.
Yeah.
It's opening up that platform. Websites like Fat Llama where you can now rent out your like phones, your laptops, microphones, drones, all sort of different devices. And it's just happening on a more global scale. And yeah, it is just testament to the way times are now because the way we adapt and move now. Because how long did it take for electricity to be kind of adapted and spread worldwide? It was like 80 to like 100 years or something.
No idea, but it's taken a while.
Whereas now, if there's a new app or a new process, things just move so quickly. So quickly. So it's just testament to the way things are. So it's obviously a lot harder now. Things are moving at a much faster pace now in terms of adaptation and development. And
because adding to that, like just adding some contents in terms of like technology. So once upon a time, there used to be this methodology in terms of building something called the waterfall method. So you start off with going, I want to build this. This is the reason I want to build it. And then you go through a step-by-step process of implementing it. And then you have your final product and you go, what do you guys think? And then after that, you get some feedback and then you make those little changes and then you have your final product. It's changed in the sense of agile where it's like, let's go, guys, quickly. I want to develop this and we're going to quickly do it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. Let's do it. Boom. And then once you get that feedback, you're continuously refining it. And it's a non-stop process. Whereas like on that comparison before, the waterfall was once it's done, once you got your feedback, once you've done your iteration, you're done. Now it's more feedback, change. Look at your phone. Prime example. Anyone listen to this? How often do you see an update for your app?
it's like daily now, man.
Daily. There's always 1.1 new support of
bug removed. Yeah,
because they have to keep on evolving. Because someone's out there going, that don't work.
Yeah.
Or there's a competition from someone else. Oh, that don't.
Coming for you.
And that's what I mean. Like sometimes you have to check on yourself. You know, are you from yesterday? Think it. From yesterday, have you changed? Have you updated? Are you version 1.9?
What's up, version 1.9?
You know, is there an update?
That upgrade,
it could be a minor update. I'm not saying big, and this is what these updates are on like a regular basis. There's always a minor bug fix. 129. You're like, oh, cool. I got a bug fix. Cool. What can I do about it? I'm gonna go to bed on time. That's how I've updated.
Yeah, clean up diet, do different things. Yeah, no, it's crazy, but it's so true in that having those minor updates. Mental, physical, like so many different levels we can be upgraded and updated.
What do you reckon the problem? All right, let's flip it. If someone chooses not to evolve, is that a big issue?
Contextual. It depends on the context. If they're in if we're talking about work,
average paying job, they've got a nice place, they go to work, come home. They watch a bit of Netflix on the weekends, and that's it. That they seem all right.
There are quite a few different levels to it. So I think on a personal aspect, to a certain degree, I think absolutely fine. If you're, for example, as an example, living in London, you're renting, maybe 3-4 years, you might be okay. But then your landlord might come and say, look, listen, that rent's going up. When that goes up, that will have that kind of cascading effect on every other aspect of your life. You had a certain amount of disposable income. That's now gone to less than half. You can't do half the things you used to do. So that's affected you. So by way of virtue, because the world around you is adapting, you have to adapt to it. You didn't want to, which is fine. But because this has affected you, you have to adapt. So you either have to get a bit more money, make savings elsewhere, work longer hours, apply for a higher level paying job, but that adaptation will come from somewhere. It's gonna happen. Again, there are like obviously work is just one example. You know, you could again have been in a job, could have been in the steel industry. That industry is no longer popping now. It's more about digital products. It used to be about oil. Like data is the new oil, as they say. If you worked at a steel mine, you're cutting up whatever. We don't need the factory anymore. So you're out of a job. You're redundant. You have to, whether you want to or not, you have to adapt. You have to understand that the world is moving. Again, it does depend on where you are. I think if you're in more Western societies, Americas, the UKs, Europe, we're moving at a really fast pace.
Yeah.
If you're out in, I don't know, Peru or somewhere where you're on a little farm, you're probably good for the next 60 years, realistically. So you're probably fine for the majority of your life. I think it really does depend on the situation you're in, what you're looking to take and extract from life, what you want for yourself, and the environment around you. Because I think a lot of it is environment. You know, if you're in a box where no one can get at you, you can do what you want for as long as you want. That doesn't affect you. But if you're in a world where the world is moving fast, like for example now, you know, I've had to get a smartphone. Normally not bothered, but because everyone else is on the smartphone, they all contact using WhatsApp. I can't use that with a brick phone. I have to stay in contact with these people. So by virtue, I have to adapt to my environment. There are certain things I need to get access to that I can only get access to with a smartphone. Maybe I didn't want one, but because of my environment, I've had to adapt. Like it or not, it is what it is. And I think it's that sort of piece of understanding how your environment affects that development of yourself and that sort of influence and just piecing it all together. And also just understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing, because there's adaptation and some people see as change. They just see change as negative. So I don't know if you've seen at the workplace or experienced it. People just hate change. Just, why do we have to change the way we're doing it? It's working, it's fine. And it's just that saying of out with the old, in with the new. And a lot of times it's not always necessary, but when it does come, it has its benefits. It has its benefits to change things up and switch the way things are being done. Again, it's the whole upgrade and the whole software update analogy of just, we're going to make minor changes. This didn't work in the last iteration. People complained about this. This was slower. There was that bug. Let's make these little minor changes to improve that and refine on the current system. Look at the world we live in. Back in the day, UK, no CCTV. People going around doing a madness, hurting, killing. Policies have been put into place. Laws have been put into place. Cameras have been put around. There are more restrictions on, roads. Like everywhere we go, it's a 20 or 30. All sorts of things. And we might look at it as, this is long. I don't want this. But these things are here for a reason. If they weren't here or when they weren't here, more people are getting hit and killed, and more people are getting away with murder, and people are putting horse meat into like sausages and stuff. But because of all the things that have come into play, the world's a better place.
Oh, man.
It seems restrictive on one end, but on the other hand, it is a better place. So a lot of these adaptations have got their benefits.
I'm always going to question that because I don't know what life was like before.
In what sense?
So, say about crime.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of statistics is based on what they've collated today.
Yeah.
But there's no real true representation of the past because we're not connected that way. So it's like, is it better? Is it worse?
It's so
the news will spread more bad news as opposed to before when people just, I don't know,
did what they want. So the main kind of argument around that piece, especially in the UK, because we're probably the highest watched country in terms of CCTV
camera,
is that the more safe we are, the less freedom we have. So the more they watch what we do, how we do it, bank accounts with like moving to a cashless society, CCTV, people getting paranoid about people being watched through their laptops and their phones. There's this argument of we're a lot safer because we have this all watching eye, we can see everything. But then it's this other argument of, but you're in my business.
We're in a box.
I don't want you in my house
to a certain degree.
I don't want Amazon being able to access my doorbell and let delivery guys into the house.
The warehouse can listen to exactly what you're saying through your Alexa.
Alexa's recording people's conversations.
If anyone's listening to a speaker right now,
yeah,
we just activated Alexa. Bye, tag me in podcast.
And there's that kind of piece around that, and it's just it's crazy because, like you said, we're in this box where all these companies have access into our lives. Amazon's there.
So yeah, that's Alexa, what I mean. It's almost like is it good? Is it bad? We won't really know the answer.
I think it depends because it depends on how much you let it in. I try to limit how much I've let in. I try to limit but it is tough because I think I was just chilling on my phone. Why is my phone lighting up saying what I said? I didn't ask you to. Why are you listening? You're a phone. Am I talking to you?
Always listening.
Can you charge yourself, please?
Charging.
gotta watch it there. You never.
Yeah.
Gotta watch it there, man. You never know.
Yeah. So evolution is a tough one.
It is a tough one. I think it's one of those
Because
ones
there's different levels to it. Because as you were saying, yeah, you could lose your job. You could evolve in the sense of finding another job. There's another layer to it where you kind of knew that wasn't the right role for you, and you had the ability to go further. That could be the breakthrough point where you go for a higher role. It's dependent on that person whether they want to evolve to a higher degree or not. So I feel like people are always constantly going to be evolving, but it's to what degree are they going to push themselves into another level? Are they going to level up? Or are they just going to move sideways? There's a lot of sideways movement a lot of the times.
Always. And I think there's always going to be that resistance piece against growth and change and development and that upgrade. Because I know people who will wait to the last minute before they upgrade on the devices. And I think there's always going to be that kind of battle of, cat and mouse, going faster, adapting the movements and growing and learning and developing. Take responsibility. It is, take responsibility for yourself, and it's an interesting piece. And definitely love to hear how people listening in have adapted to their environments. You know, what sort of changes have you made? What things have you noticed about maybe your working environment, your personal environment, and how have you adapted, if at all? So that's definitely something we'd love to hear. Thanks for listening.